Hi, in this video we'll be looking at sentences written in the active voice. The active voice is often used when writing or talking out loud because it's clear and direct. An active sentence is the opposite of a passive sentence. In a passive sentence, the verb is happening to the subject. A form of the verb to be and a past participle of the main verb are used, and the sentence often ends in a prepositional phrase that begins with by. For example, the mouse was chased by the cat is a passive sentence because the verb was chased is happening to the mouse. In an active sentence, the subject performs the action, the verb, to the object. Using the active voice, this sentence becomes the cat chased the mouse. Active sentences usually follow the pattern of subject, verb, object. Let's take a look at some examples. Beavers make large dams. The youngest skater won the competition. His quick hands crocheted a pink jumper. Top tip: in an active sentence, the subject will be doing the action. Let's take a look at our first question. Here, you're being asked to tick the sentence which is written in the active. Sentence 1 says, the moth was stopped by the bright light. Sentence 2 says, the sweet nectar was eaten by the moth. Sentence 3 says, the hungry bird caught a large moth. Sentence 4 says, its colourful wings were illuminated by the moon. Each of these sentences begins with the subject. You need to find the sentence in which the subject is the one performing the verb. Have you spotted it? Well done if you said, the hungry bird caught a large moth. In this sentence, the subject, the hungry bird, is performing the verb caught to the object, a moth. This sentence is written as subject, verb, object. For our second question, you're being asked to rewrite a sentence so that it's in the active. The sentence is, the game was won by Ben. In this sentence, the verb is won. You'll need to make sure that the subject at the beginning of the sentence is the person or thing that's doing the winning, and that your sentence reads as subject, verb, object. Pause the video now and have a go. What do you think? Remember that in an active sentence, the subject will be the one doing the action. Let's take a look at the answer. The active version of this sentence would be, Ben won the game. The subject, Ben, is the one who's performing the verb, won. Well done if you got that one right. Hoo-yah! Now it's time for our final question. Rewrite this sentence so that it's in the active. You may wish to say your sentence out loud, or you may wish to write it down on a piece of paper or a whiteboard. Remember to punctuate your sentence correctly using capital letters and full stops. The sentence says, the food was eaten by the pigs. Pause the video now and press play when you have an answer. Do you have an answer? Great. Let's take a look at the sentence. The food was eaten by the pigs. Rewritten in the active, this sentence would say, the pigs ate the food. Hoo-yah! Well done if you got that question right. If you enjoyed this video today, go and check out some more of our English concept videos available on the Twinkl website. Hi, in this video we'll be looking at sentences that are written in the passive voice. A passive sentence is the opposite of an active sentence. In an active sentence, the subject performs the action or verb to the object. For example, in the active sentence, the dog chased the cat. The subject, which is the dog, performs the action, chased, to the object, the cat. In a passive sentence, the thing that would usually be the object becomes the subject through the use of the passive form of the verb. The passive voice uses a form of the verb to be and the past participle of the main verb. Often the word by or a similar preposition is added to form a prepositional phrase. This means that the active sentence, the dog chased the cat, can be switched around to become the passive sentence, the cat was chased by the dog. The cat becomes the subject because the verb was chased is happening to it. The preposition by is added to make the prepositional phrase by the dog. Let's have a go at making some passive sentences. You might want to say your sentences out loud or write them down on a whiteboard or piece of paper. First, choose any subject from the list. Next, add a relevant form of the verb to be. Now, choose a past participle verb. Finally, add a prepositional phrase to the end. Pause the video now and have a go. Well done! Why not try reading your passive sentence aloud? You could have had, the hippo was flown by a pilot. The children are fed by monsters. The plane was flown by an armadillo. Or you may have had a completely different sentence. All of these sentences are written in the passive voice. Passive sentences can also be written without the prepositional phrase. These sentences can be useful if you don't know or don't want to say who or what completed the action. For example, the chicken was chased. The cake was eaten. The train was driven. Top tip. If you come across a sentence like this and want to know if it's written in the passive, just add by monsters to the end. If the sentence works, it's written in the passive voice. Take a look at this question. The first sentence is written in the active voice and the second sentence is written in the passive voice. You're being asked to say how the passive in the sentence, the window was broken, affects the way that the information is presented. Think about what you've learnt about the passive voice and then decide why somebody might have chosen to use it. The options are, it shows that the window was broken in the past. It does not say who broke the window. It shows that it was an accident. It does not say why the window was broken. You need to tick one answer. Pause the video now and have a go. What do you think? Well done if you said it does not say who broke the window. The passive has been used because the writer either didn't want to say or didn't know who had broken the window. For our final question, you're being asked to rewrite this active sentence in the passive. Remember, you can say your answer out loud or write it down on a piece of paper or whiteboard. Remember to punctuate your answers correctly using capital letters and full stops. The sentence says, the children made lunch. Pause the video now and have a go. Do you have an answer? Great. The active sentence, the children made lunch, can be turned into the passive sentence, lunch was made by the children. Well done if you got that question right. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're looking for more English support, we've got lots more videos like this one available on the Twinkl website. Hi! In this video, we'll be taking a look at active and passive sentences. In an active sentence, the subject performs the action, the verb, to the object. Sentences in the active voice are usually written subject, verb, object. Let's take a look at some examples. The dragon guarded the treasure. Our newest player scored the first goal. My brother painted some rocks. In a passive sentence, the thing that would usually be the object becomes the subject through the use of the passive form of the verb. This subject then has the verb happening to it. The passive voice uses a form of the verb to be and the past participle of the main verb. Often the word by or a similar preposition is added to form a prepositional phrase. This means that if we turn our active sentences into passive sentences, they would now look like this. The treasure was guarded by a dragon. The first goal was scored by our newest player. The rocks were painted by my brother. In these passive sentences, the verb is happening to the subject. When deciding whether a sentence is being written in the active or the passive, it's important to look at the subject. In an active sentence, the subject is doing the verb. In a passive sentence, the verb is happening to them. For our first question, you're being asked to tick the sentence that's written in the passive. Remember, in a passive sentence, the verb is happening to the subject. Let's take a look at the sentences. Sentence 1 says, the monsters attended the meeting. Sentence 2 says, the issue was raised by the monsters. Sentence 3 says, everyone listened to their ideas. Sentence 4 says, they started making plans. Top tip, remember that a passive sentence often ends in a prepositional phrase. In which of these sentences is the verb happening to the subject? That's right, well done if you said the issue was raised by the monsters. In this sentence, the verb was raised is happening to the subject, which is the issue. The sentence also ends in a prepositional phrase. The other 3 sentences are written in the active. For our next question, you're being asked to tick one box in each row to show whether each sentence is active or passive. Let's take a look at the sentences. Sentence 1 says, hedgehogs live in hedgerows. Sentence 2 says, insects are eaten by hedgehogs. Sentence 3 says, many people like hedgehogs. Pause the video now and press play when you have an answer. Do you have an answer? Great. There are 2 active sentences and 1 passive sentence in this question. In the active sentences, the subject is doing the verb. This means that sentences 1 and 3 are active. Sentence 2 is passive because the eating is happening to the insects. This sentence also ends in a prepositional phrase. Well done if you got that one right. Hoo-yah! For our final question, you're being asked to tick one box in each row to show whether the sentences are active or passive. You may wish to write your answers down on a piece of paper or whiteboard, or you may just wish to say them aloud. Sentence 1 says, Mina's missing tooth was found by the teacher. Sentence 2 says, everyone saw the rainbow. Sentence 3 says, a small meteor entered the Earth's atmosphere. Pause the video now and have a go. What do you think? Which sentences were written in the active and which were written in the passive? Take a close look at the answers now. Well done if you got all 3 of those correct. Hoo-yah! If you enjoyed this video today, why not take a look at some of the other English concept videos available on the Twinkl website.
In this video, we'll be looking at the subject and the object of a sentence. The subject of a sentence is the noun, noun phrase or pronoun that represents the person or thing that carries out the main action. The object of a sentence can be a noun, noun phrase or pronoun. The object is the thing, person or place which is involved in or receives the action. Take a look at this sentence. The rabbit is eating the carrot. In this sentence, the main action is eating. The rabbit is the subject because it is doing the eating. The carrot is the object because the action is happening to it. Sometimes the subject comes before the object in a sentence. Other times the subject comes after the object. Let's take a look at some more examples. The baby wore a pink cardigan. The pink cardigan was worn by the baby. Neve played the grand piano. The grand piano was played by Neve. Let's take a look at our first question. Here you're being asked to underline the subject of the sentence. The large troll waited under the bridge. Can you find the main action within this sentence? That's right, the main action is waited. To find the subject, we need to find who or what in the sentence is doing the waiting. Have you spotted it? Well done if you said the large troll. The noun phrase, the large troll, is the subject of this sentence. In this question, you're being asked to label each box with subject using the letter S or object using the letter O. Sarah picked apples and then she ate them. There are two main actions in this sentence. Can you spot them? That's right, they're picked and ate. To label the subjects, you need to find out who or what is doing the picking and the eating. To label the objects, you need to find out who or what is having the picking and the eating done to them. Pause your video now and hit play when you have your answers. Do you have your answers? Great, let's take a look. In this sentence, the words Sarah and she are the subjects, and the words apples and them are the objects. Well done if you got all 4 of those correct. Hoo-yah! For our final question, you're being asked to tick the box that shows the subject of the sentence below. Pause the video here and then press play when you got an answer. Do you have an answer? Excellent. Let's take a look at the sentence. On Wednesday, Esha hopes to see Jemima Jazz in Inverness. Which option have you chosen as the subject of the sentence? Well done if you picked Esha. Hoo-yah! Thanks for watching and I hope you found this video useful. If you're looking for more English help, then we've got lots more of these videos on the Twinkl website, so why not go and check them out?